The evening is moving a little slow, so hoping we're here. Hey, everybody, welcome, 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 welcome to Mondays in the Meditation Room with Dr. K for Midlife Musings. It is the safe and sacred space, is what we like to call it, for the empowerment and enlightenment of Black women in midlife, this amazing season of our lives where we are not giving in to the chaos, but we are redefining it, that it is a rebirth, it is a reimagining, it is something brand new. It is the opportunity for us to prioritize ourselves and our entire well-being and to make this the best season of our lives. So go ahead, call your friend, call your sister, and guess what? On tonight, call your boo, get your husband, get on the So I am so excited, and I want us to get in as much wisdom as we possibly can and fun with the hubby. So I'm not going to wait long and do a whole lot of talking, but so I'm going to bring my special guest up. Look, I do all these banners, so I have to put them up too. All right, so Mondays in the meditation room with Dr. K for Midlife Music. I love it. Love all this technology, right? And so there it is, my special guest, Dr. Harold B. Hayes Jr. Come on, help me welcome him. All of, I'm making all of the sound effects. Yay! So glad to have you back with us. And can I
Thank you
tell
for having
you,
me back.
yay! So it is such a blessing. So I decided for the month of July that I will invite my hubby, my honey, on to have the conversation about midlife relationships, midlife marriage. To do that because we are headed on our way to celebrate our 38th wedding anniversary on July 28th. So, what better time to have him on to talk about midlife marriage and midlife in general, as a man, as a Black man, right? As a son, as a brother, as a father, as a grandfather, as a spiritual leader, all of the above. And we just have fun. Laughing and learning and growing together. So, hey, y'all, welcome, welcome, welcome. Go ahead and call somebody. Hey, Monica, how you doing? Welcome, welcome to the room. Go ahead and invite your friends and your boo, and your significant other. They're in midlife, and even if you're not in midlife, you get to learn some things. Because one of the things I learned and realized was that nobody really talked to us about this change, this transition, this rite of passage into midlife and what that meant. And so I'm grateful to be able to have this conversation so that um, men and women don't feel like they're all alone, which was one of the reasons why I wrote the book, The Enlightened Woman Reflection and Inspiration. Right. Well, on your journey back to yourself and really rediscovering the joy of being you in midlife and beyond, because this is not the season where it's over. Back in the day, it was like when you hit midlife, when you hit 50,
That was it.
you hit 60, it was like what, going downhill. But yeah, no, we're literally just kind of taking off during this season of our lives. And I'm grateful to have made it to this season in our lives. So yes, yes, and yes. So hey, y'all. So some people, hey, Yolanda, how you doing? And I see Facebook user. I don't have a name on there, so I don't know. Usually when I go back and do the replay um, on my desktop, on my laptop, I see the name, but until then, I'm gonna be calling you Facebook user. Amen. So if there's a hey, Team Jeffrey, so we're so glad you all are joining us on tonight. So honey, what's it been like being in the meditation room? This is your second to hey Subi. I thought that was you. I felt you in my spirit. I was gonna say that's Subi. So welcome, welcome. So what's it like to be back in the meditation room? This is your second time. We did it earlier this year, and this is your second time joining us in the meditation room. What's your take on your experience in the room?
Well, I love it how you say in the room, and I'm honored. You could have so many other persons to join you, and you ask your husband of going on 38 years. This is midlife for us, and one of the features, characteristics,
Mhm.
unfortunately, of midlife marriages is boredom with each other.
Mhm.
And so that gives me hope that you still want to include me in on your shift, because this is a powerful paradigm shift for you. You are blossoming and unfolding
Mhm.
to your greatest version of you, and to include me in on that, man, I feel honored. And so thank you, thank you, thank you.
Woo!
I love you. I love you.
I know y'all. He working up on something special. He just
Yes, yes, yes.
I love it. Hey, Team Kleins. The Kleins are here in the space. We're so glad to have you. If you did not watch the replay from last Monday, you have got to watch the replay from last Monday, right? Partnership. I do, I did, I don't. Oh my God. Y'all gotta watch that one and share this one. So tonight we are talking about, drum roll please, midlife. Thank you. Yours, mine, and ours. Midlife money matters. Yours, mine, and ours. And here's the thing we also want to say about midlife marriage is we were just watching something, and we can't tell y'all what we were watching. You have to come to a Power Couples event to find out what we were watching. But we were just watching something, and one of the couples said something that was so important was you have to be intentional. You can't get married and then just think you're going to coast on in through the rest of your years. Um, you have to be intentional about allowing yourself to grow individually and grow together as a couple and do the work. And that's why I'm telling you, you got to watch last um, week's episode to do the work. And before we move on into our discussion for tonight, is there anything um, that stood out to you for in our conversation? I know it's been a week, and that's also the other thing about midlife. You forget stuff. You forget stuff. Uh, is there anything? Because that was one of the things that you said last week about how it's I think you said it's like 24/7. Like it's a
Yeah. Well, yeah. And that's funny. We're right on the same page. The thing that stood out for me last week was, um, you know, you can't sit in the audience, even if you got box seats, looking at a boxing ring, and you're supposed to be in it. You got to get in the ring,
Mhm.
and there's 24 rounds a day in midlife marriage,
Yes, that's what it
and
was.
you just got to get in the ring. And sometimes you can't always, as much as communication, verbal communication is absolutely important. Sometimes you just got to walk it out.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to, and I don't want to use this metaphor, but you got to get in the ring, and you got to wrestle it out. I'll use that. You have to just wrestle it out. You have to, uh, uh, you know, uh, box it out. You got to sometimes battle it out. You got to get in the ring with your spouse, and you're not necessarily battling each other,
Mm,
but you are. I like the tag team method. I grew up in Philly watching wrestling on Saturday mornings, and everybody said it was, all fake. But I dare you to fake yourself in one of those matches. You'll find out that those stunts
mm,
in and of themselves can leave you wounded. And so you got to get in the ring. And many times I see us in the ring back to back,
Mm.
uh, as life lifes us,
Mm.
we are together working it out. And sometimes um, the husband is worn out,
Mhm.
and the wife has to duke it out with life while he runs in the corner and gets some water, and then she tags him saying, "Okay, I need you back in here," and he comes back in, and she runs to her corner, and sometimes you're back to back, you're both in there all at the same time, but you're in it to win it. You
Mhm.
know, teamwork makes the dream work, and so that's what stood out for me. That a lot of times you have to just walk it out. You just have to walk out your marriage, and I believe in the walking out, you absolutely develop. You know, they say the more you use your muscle, the more you can use your muscle.
Mhm.
The less you use your muscles, the less you can use your muscles.
Yeah.
And so that's amazing. And we have to develop our muscle for marriage. There is a marriage muscle. There is.
Uh,
Look, I'm coming to real close. There is a marriage muscle. There is a marriage muscle, and you have to, just like, you develop muscles through strength training.
mhm.
And there is a soreness, and there is, literally, they say do it, if you're lifting, do it
Mhm.
every other day, because there is a breakdown, and then there's a rebuilding. And when it rebuilds, the tissues and your muscle rebuilds, it's actually absolutely stronger.
Mhm.
And so we have to begin to understand that we have a marriage muscle that we must work,
Yeah.
and it only works when you work it.
Yep.
You know, we have to make a decision that we're in it together, and once again, there'll be those days,
Mhm.
and you allow those days,
Mhm.
but you don't allow those days to be deal breakers. Um,
Yes, that was so good too, because we have those moments where, look, one of our persons in the room is saying, having a safe place to say I don't like you or me, and that's okay. And
yep,
because everything is not, this is the end, is this is just a moment in time. There's no way you're gonna be married for any length of time and you're gonna like your spouse the entire time.
no,
You're not gonna like your spouse or yourself during some season
yeah.
of your marriage. And
And one of the common things that happens during midlife marriages is they literally, sweetheart, now I need you to do a drum roll.
I don't know. Oh, okay, wait, I gotta do it on table. I'll do it.
Okay, it's common
hmm
that midlife marriages fall out of love with each other. See, last week we talked about you don't like each other because you don't have the bandwidth, because you don't even like yourself. Now I'm talking about, it is common for midlife marriages where both or one or
hmm
the other fall out of love.
hmm
And one of the number one reasons is, oh God, I must say it, is boredom,
hmm
routine,
hmm
same old,
hmm
nothing new, nothing exciting.
hmm
And because we're going through the change, both women and men, we're going through the change. Um, the change is not to us, the change is for us.
hmm
I'm going to say that again. So if you're going through menopause, if you're going through andropause, it's not happening to us, it is happening for us. And on the other side of it, there is a new, a greater version of yourself.
Right.
And you want to be able to ride that process
hmm
with your spouse. But if boredom has set in,
hmm
they said divorce is 2.5% higher
hmm
among married couples over the ages of 50 than
Yeah.
it is for the ages of 20 and 30.
Yep. Yep. Because no, look, knowing is half the battle, and that's
Yes.
why we created this space. That's why we do power couples. That's why I thought it was so important for us, even though I've been focusing on midlife, writing a book about, but for those couples who are both in midlife and your marriage is basically in midlife, if you've been married
Right.
for 20, 25 years or whatever, that can be a very precarious time. And when we don't know, first of all, what we're going through as individuals, that psychologically, mentally, emotionally, physiologically, your body is changing. Your hormones are all over the place. For women, your estrogen is reducing.
Adult puberty.
Right, is that rite of passage into another place. So that season in between, or leading up to menopause, is perimenopause, but your body is reacting. You're doing the whole, we talk about this all the time. You're dealing with insomnia, you're dealing with weight gain, you're dealing with low libido. Sometimes that's not happening. I'm just listing symptoms. That doesn't mean you're going to have them all. Thinning hair, your brain fog and memory, and all of these things that begin to happen. Sometimes you have heart issues, and sometimes you just feel like you losing your mind. You got anger issues, you got the
Yeah.
whole times, y'all. You don't want to talk to nobody, your tolerance is low, your BS meter is like broke. It's all of the above. And when you're going through that individually and you're not getting the help you need or going within, you take it out on your spouse. And everything that's wrong, you see it wrong in your spouse instead of knowing that it's something that's going on the inside.
It, it it's easier to superimpose on your spouse than say, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
I think I overreacted. And I knew that would make you laugh. I think I overreacted, and I think I saw this thing from my perspective and superimposed it on you. And so once again, you're so right. Reading is fundamental. Something's going on. Y'all do the research.
Mm-hmm.
Google is amazing.
Yeah.
You can simply say, I am 59. I'm going to turn 60 on August 30th. And I feel like I'm losing my mind. Google, what's going on with me?
It's gonna be so much stuff that's gonna come up.
Oh my God.
Help you. First thing you do, you can buy the Enlightened Woman for women, for sisters. I'm gonna tell you, that's gonna be your first
That's the
step.
first thing.
And here it is. The second step is find a counselor or a therapist. Third step is to find a doctor who will not act like you are losing your mind and ain't nothing wrong with you, or it's all in your head. You need to find a doctor who is well versed in menopause, that will do the whole hormonal panel test, do all the things that you need to do to make sure you're healthy.
I
And
have a
I'm telling you, this is needed and it's necessary. And thank y'all for joining us.
and I have a shameless plug for you, sweetheart. To the brothers, get The Enlightened Woman by Dr. Kelly V. Hayes. It will give you insight
Mm,
to possibly your wife and what she might be going through without the arguments. You can begin to read
mm.
and get a great understanding without the arguments that start off with the brother saying, "What is wrong with you?"
And before we move on, we got to move on to our topic. But I want to say, while you're here, and here's the other thing, that men definitely are not talking about the changes that they're going through, which is scientifically named andropause, which is the same upheaval or hormones. Because what we said last week is right. It just comes to the whole oversimplistic of, oh yeah, he just left his wife, or he trying to find a younger woman, or he didn't
Decrease in testosterone. Decrease in testosterone can
mm-hmm.
start as early as 30, 35 and continue on if there is not anything done about it. And so you have to really educate yourself, my brothers. And it's an amazing thing that when you know better,
Mm-hmm.
you have an opportunity to pivot.
Oh, that's so good, because that's what Mondays in the meditation room with Dr. K is all about for Midlife Musings. It's giving ourselves permission to go through this do what we can because we're not victims, right? To
No.
go with it, get the help, right? And learn and then pivot because that's what this season is about. It's shifting, is rebirthing, is reigniting, is reimagining your life, is rediscovering yourself and each other because
Yeah.
you're not the same. And this is not the end. You're going to continue to evolve and change, and you have to be able to have those courageous conversations that may hurt. That's the woo. When you were saying earlier about get in that ring and fight together, we can't be afraid to get hit. You can't box and not get hit or
may,
be
may,
afraid.
I, may I tell a story?
It's gonna hurt. Mm-hmm.
May I tell a quick story that you're so on point? Um, my father, when we moved to our new neighborhood, I actually moved on my 6th birthday to our new neighborhood, and I got into my first little fight. Well, my father had the nerve to be looking out the window watching the whole thing. And it was a most traumatic experience. I'm still in therapy from that first fight at 7 years old. Uh, the boy just beat me really bad. And I came in crying, and my father said, "You could have won."
Mm.
And he said, "Your problem was you were afraid to get hit."
Mm.
And so he got me and my brother boxing gloves and put us in the middle of the kitchen floor and just told us to start welling on each other. And we were like, "Daddy's from hell. He's a demon. He's the meanest person in the world."
So that you will, because here's the thing,
He
there's some
said, "If you're not afraid to get hit,
you'll be able to fight.
you can go the distance."
You can
And
go to
guess what? Uh, I didn't lose my second one,
I,
no my third, no my fourth.
we've been taught that when things get tight, when things get tough, when things get difficult, and even when they hurt, that something is wrong. It's not necessarily anything wrong per se, but it's an opportunity to grow. It's an
Your
opportunity to learn to trust each other.
your marriage is perfectly imperfect. So
Yeah.
stop being shocked when you have an argument. Stop being shocked when you disagree. Stop being shocked when you haven't had none in 3 weeks. Stop being shocked.
Work through it.
Work through it.
Work through it.
Yeah.
All right. So tonight we're gonna talk. I'm gonna manage our time. Sorry, we're talking midlife money matters, yours, mine, and ours. And know that we are talking, we are discussing, we are sharing. We are not financial experts, nor are we licensed to do any of those things. We suggest that you get that help, but we just want to provide some food for thought and things for you to begin to think about and to talk about. We hope they're vacation, Lord. We must be ready for vacation. We want them to
Yes.
be conversation starters, right? So, what I want to ask you, honey, what comes to mind when you hear that title, Midlife Money Matters, yours, mine, and ours?
I don't want to have that conversation. Yeah. I mean, this is a courageous conversation to have, to begin yours, mine's, and ours. And I think that was genius in providing that title as an entryway to the conversation, because I think there's something holistic about the title itself. There is a yours, there is a mine, and there is an ours. I grew up under the household where I would hear, never have. I literally heard my mother say, when you get married, never have separate banking accounts. Always have the same banking account with both names on it. And that was their day. That was their generation. And that is how they flowed. That is how they operated. The checks that I have happened to see of my mother and father was one bank they'd stayed at that bank for 150 years, even if the bank changes names or whatever. But I always saw that one checkbook with both of their names, and that was ingrained. My wife can tell you that was ingrained in my head. However, I still say, as I said last week, when you get married,
Mm-hmm.
y'all decide what will work for y'all.
Mm-hmm.
And you can be inspired. Absolutely, you can be inspired by other relationships. You can definitely. This is the information age. You can collect all the kind of information as far as pros and cons when it comes to money matters, especially in midlife. Uh, uh, but have enough confidence in one another and in each other's ability to say, "I think this will work for us." And
Mm-hmm.
so that's why I think the title is so holistic. It leads us into a courageous conversation. Yours, mine's, ours. And I think that is um, something I celebrate with us.
Mm-hmm.
That there is a yours, there is a mine's, and there is an ours. And that evolved for us.
Right.
That
Right.
evolved for us. That we didn't sit down and say this is the way. It just evolved. And when we talk about evolving, we're not talking about painless evolving. We're not talking. They said if you could put a mini microphone amplified to a mini microphone to a plant and then amplify it, you will hear the plant screaming while it's growing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna try it again.
Mm-hmm.
That the plant is in pain while it's growing. It
Wow.
it continues to be in pain because it continues to stretch out of it. The fight of the plant is to be comfortable where it's at, but it continues to grow, so it's never comfortable. So it continues to scream in pain until it reaches its full potential.
Wow.
And so, and so, when I say we evolved, it was not painless. When I say we evolved to yours, mine, and ours, in our marriage, it was not painful. I already kind of set you up to let you know my condition.
Mm-hmm.
I can only tell you about my condition, so we grew to that, and that works for us. Now you can talk to a whole lot of different couples, and they all have their spin
Mm-hmm.
on what is acceptable to them, and what brings them pain and
Mm-hmm.
heartache, and what stretches them, and then what they refuse to. Like my parents, from my mother's perspective, they always had one bank account, but I don't believe that was the case.
Look, that for those of you who are in the room, when you think of this title, join the conversation. We're having a conversation here. Midlife Money Matters, yours, mine, and ours. What do you think when you hear that title? Because that's our next point of conversation. Why do you think there's such drama around money and marriage?
Well, they said money is the number one. I didn't say it. SunTrust, that's now Truist, said it, that money is the number one stressor in marriage, especially in midlife marriage.
Wow.
The
That
number one.
the number one.
It's the third cause for divorce, but it's the number one stressor.
Wow. So then that's what we need to talk about. I love it. The client says we would have been divorced, and she got been capital B, capital E, capital E, capital N divorced if we stayed with that one bank account. That is so, so true. It's
Wow.
so much drama around money. And I think part of it is that it is a reflection of a power dynamic.
Yeah, it's a power dynamic, and uh, it can be used to control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It really can be used to control. And so when you are and you will hear Dr. K and I always keep referring, when you make a decision to do the inside work and you find somebody uh, you can safely talk to and talk out of a lot of your conditioning,
Mm-hmm.
and be willing to grow and live from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you will begin to be open to thinking differently
Mm-hmm.
and doing things differently and making sure that you are vested in making a commitment to what will work for y'all.
Right.
What happened for us is that I initially fought the idea. I fought it tooth and nail because I have nothing but transparency and authenticity for y'all because that's the only thing I think that's going to help you. I fought it tooth and nail. My wife went out and got a bank account, and I found out about it. I went off. I kept on telling her what my mama said. Guess what? We're not married to my mama. and and uh, what happened was when when I began to realize I was the perpetrator of the arguments because I kept saying, "Hey, why'd you do this? Is that a vote of no confidence in me? What's going on?" And all that stuff. And then when I finally just left it alone, guess what? The storm died down.
Mm-hmm.
It literally died down, and then something beautiful happened. There were times my wife would treat me to something or buy me something, uh, and it came from that account that I thought was the account from hell.
That was so good because when you have that conditioning, and those are the things that you have to talk about. Because for me, I wanted to feel, we talk about this in the Light Woman circles and on our serenity experience, to feel like a grown ass woman and not like a child that has to come.
Oh my God, did she cuss?
Yes, to come to a spouse to ask for money or when I want to do things like that. And so that's why it was so important to me because it's a confidence booster. It allows you to have your own, um, uh, you know, your own thing that you're in control of. Not about hiding. It's not about being separate. It's not about any of that. It is really psychologically healthy
Yeah,
for individuals. Now this is our story and this is my story. That
right.
is
And
um
I saw the change in you.
mhm.
And it's funny that when I'm with my boys, we love saying, just jokingly, and y'all excuse the expletives, but y'all would really be shocked if y'all really lived in our house how much fun we had being free in our communication. But we always love saying, "I'm a grown ass man."
Mhm.
I never thought that my wife would love to say, "I'm a grown ass woman."
Yep.
And the truth of the matter is, we're a grown ass marriage.
Yes. So some of our conversation is, Team Jeffries, like we didn't have an example to follow. We also didn't have any money. So it was an easy start and has still worked, but we now have other accounts. One is this
Exactly.
title and approach works for Team Williams and has been our approach since our early marriage. So good. One says marriage is combining models of money management. That is so good. I love it because the truth of the matter is one of the things that you have to do in your marriage as it relates to money is you have to know what your subconscious and conscious money mindset is. What is your money blueprint? What did you grow up thinking about money? How much power did you give money? What did you think about money? Because money is innocent.
Yeah,
It's
neutral.
what we think about money and what we're conditioned to think about money. And when you come to the marriage, you come with your idea about money
Yeah,
and what it means to you. What is your relationship with money? And that is very important. And nobody really talked to us about what our money mindset is, what would our blueprint, what was our conditioning about money, because you're gonna bring it to the marriage. And
yeah, and yeah,
you like this if you're not talking about it.
and the other thing that I don't know if this is a good segue, if you're ready to segue. So you got your account, I have my account, and then what is clearly ours is debt.
Oh my God. And look, even if it wasn't ours, I mean, each of
It,
us,
it's ours now.
it's ours because they're gonna be looking for you. They'll be calling you up.
Yeah.
Talking about your husband, Otis, your wife, Otis.
It is it's amazing that as they say, teamwork makes the dream work.
Mm-hmm.
And teamwork is also inclusive of I this is what I'm responsible for.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm responsible for. This is what we're responsible for. And don't make it a battle.
Mm-hmm.
Some things some things aren't worth battling over. You
Right.
know, um, I like it now the way it is. I didn't like it initially. And I want us all to hear that it's okay to grow from not liking something to seeing the benefits of it.
Mm-hmm.
It is absolutely okay to see the pros to something that
Mm-hmm.
was not initially your idea, and then grow into that. Um, Once again, what is always a ours thing, because you're married, is whatever financial obligations you have,
Mm-hmm.
whether your husband made them or whether your wife made them. Bottom line, if somebody transitions, you will clearly find out it's an hour thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is imperative that I might not know the account number to Reverend Kelly's bank. My name might not be on that particular checking account, but we better make sure we both know what debt and what financial obligations we have, and make sure both of us are fully aware of those, because that is absolutely ours.
That is so good, and that is a good segue into, what do you think should be the money goals for midlife marriages? And one of the things is that when you do that, like we have a book called My Exit Plan, and he said that, but he will, because of that book, he will have access to it. There will be passwords and account numbers and all of that in My Exit Plan book. And the bank then has the information that he is to be the person to come in and handle it. So, there are forms
That's right.
at banks that you can, make sure your spouse is on, so that he has access to that money if it's necessary.
Yeah.
So
I,
you can fill out all of that.
yeah. I think for me to respond to that question you just had, what should be the a goal in midlife marriage concerning money? I think the number one goal. This is my story. I'm sticking with it. It should be to get out of debt.
Mm-hmm.
To first know how much debt you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let it shut you down for a whole month. It might shut you down for a day or so once you find out. But absolutely find out who you owe down to parking tickets, and know what that number is, and then begin to work on eliminating
Mm-hmm.
all debt.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you eliminate all debt, you then own your money that you make.
Wow, that is so good. And for us, many of us in midlife, as African Americans, we may be behind. That's not true. That's not every black person's story. I want to be
No.
clear. That's not every person's black story, but many of us was really not taught financial literacy, was not really taught things to do and things to put in place at a young age, so that when you get to midlife, it's about options. Many of us get to midlife and find ourselves having to put things in place, having to pivot our focus on getting out of debt and building wealth. So that is so awesome that you're saying that one of the money goals you should have for a midlife marriage is to get out of debt. And it's
Yeah.
never too late to change. And we want to hear from you too. Is this conversation? What would you say should be money goals for midlife marriages? Um, that one is so helpful. And I wrote some things down And that the one of the first things is, like, get some help. Get
Mhm.
some help, because many of you may not know what to do, and sometimes we don't do anything, and we become, we get immobilized because we feel overwhelmed with the state of our midlife money matters and
Right.
finances. Especially if we raise children, or we're still trying to help young adult children, or if we have responsibilities for parents, because some of us are also that sandwich generation. We're trying to, you know, get our adult children stable, and we're helping. And then guess what? Some people are that go-to person for family. And in midlife, you got to start creating your boundaries and your priorities, because you want your midlife to be not so stressful that you can't enjoy those years. So,
Exactly.
get some help. And one of the things I was saying would get help and know what we call our money mindset, or our money blueprint. What is your story around money? How has it been affecting your money management as an individual, and then together as a couple? And you should know that about each other, where you come from. Talk about it, whether your family talked about money, or if you didn't have money, so you're scared and fearful of being broke, so you do certain things, or you spend a lot of money, whatever it is, and get to the root of it, because there's a lot of pain around that in marriage. And so you have to then begin to heal and forgive each other. And sometimes you can't do that until you talk about your money history, your money mindset, or why you do certain things, or why you are where you are in that moment, right? And then develop a new money mindset. What do we want as a couple, as a family? What do we want to see, and what do we have to do in order to see that? And then prioritize your future. And we sometimes want to hide so much from our children. I started having to tell my children literally point blank, I need you to make better decisions, because you can't continue to depend on us to bail you out, because we need that money to go towards our retirement.
Look, I pray to the same God they should be praying to.
Right? No, they should be praying to the same God you praying to, right? To help them
Yeah,
through.
they should call on the name of the Lord. Stop calling on me.
Mhm. That is so good. Anybody,
Go.
anybody else need to say that to your grown children?
Yeah, and it's amazing that you do have to wake up and say, I am getting older,
Mhm,
and I am getting closer to retirement, and what that will look like.
mhm,
I will say, in midlife, you should absolutely find out as soon as you can. At the I think they give you up to 70 before you start collecting your Social Security. You need
mhm,
to find out how much you will be getting. You need to start looking at, I call it your retirement plan. I know
mhm,
people call it a retirement plan, but your retirement plan. Um, at 65, what would you get? At 70, what would you get? And then begin to, as you're if you are in debt, as you working towards eliminating all your debt, you should be looking at also planning for your that paradigm shift, whether you're going to retire and refire at 65, 70, 75. You should have an ideal, and that's where it's so important to get help, because they can forecast what the how much you'll be able, what inflation will take place between those years, and what your dollar will be able to buy 15 years from now. And
mhm,
then you start planning accordingly, and putting things in place. And so this is, and I got to be very intentional, Dr. K. This is the place where marriages fail,
mhm,
midlife marriages. I did prepare, Dr. K. I read all up. This is the area.
mhm,
Let me put it like this. So y'all, Dr. K and I are 60 years old. We're going on 38 years of marriage. We are in our most dangerous and our most promising season.
So good.
We are now, y'all got to hear what I'm saying. We are in our most dangerous and our most promising season. We could just say, forget all this. You go your way, I go my way. I can do bad all by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Or we can flip and see that thing differently and say, we're better together.
Mm-hmm.
And the best is yet to come. The best is next to come, and our next is right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reality of midlife marriages when it comes to money matters.
Mm-hmm.
Mine, yours, and ours.
Mm-hmm.
This is where you reintroduce each other to each other as allies and not enemies.
Whoop! This is like a mic. I'm dropping it.
You have to understand the onus is on both of y'all to reintroduce each other to each other as allies and not enemies.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to have that tough conversation. And I know people say don't play the blame game. No, you have to. It's a real game.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm to blame for something concerning our money, I'm to blame. If she's to blame, she's to blame. And I guarantee you, both of y'all are to blame in some area when it comes to your money.
So good.
It's never just you messed up. No, it's never just the one person.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all gotta talk it out, pray it out, fuss it out, cuss it out, work it out.
Mm-hmm.
And it will probably land better when you get some help. When you
Mm-hmm.
just bring somebody in and say, here is our mess.
Mm-hmm.
Can this mess become something beautiful?
That's so good. Your
And the
perspective.
answer is yes. Why? Because God is still in the miracle working business when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to midlife marriages and money.
Mm-hmm. So good. Because we have to learn how to change our perspective on it.
Yeah.
If we see it as unfixable, untenable, unwhatever, that's what it's going to be. And you have to declare up front that we're going to make it through it.
We're going
It's,
to make it through it.
and it may be challenging and it may be difficult. But what's the saying from the one of our favorite movies, I Choose Us?
I choose us. Yeah, that's a good movie.
And
I
in midlife, you gotta choose your spouse. Y'all gotta choose yourselves over children, over grandchildren, over parents. That doesn't mean we're not there for them and we don't help them, because we're having this conversation now that because I'm an only child, there's a possibility, and it is really real, that my mom will be living with us. We have to start
pray
figuring
for me. Pray for
figuring out what that's going to look like for us. And can I tell you, your spouse literally can make or break having to make that kind of decision. I'm grateful that my spouse and my mom have an amazing relationship, and he is willing to make those sacrifices. He came just out of the blue as we were discussing, do we stay here? Do we move? What are we going to do? How are we going to make this spacing work? We need our space. We need our privacy. And we had made a decision. And then he came upstairs with a totally different decision that favored my mother, that will really help her transition. I was in awe. I just looked at him and I was like, you are wonderful.
I got you, baby. I keep telling you, I got you.
But those things matter. How your spouse, you can't wait to then to make those decisions to discover how your spouse might feel if one of your parents or both have to live with you, or you have to become a primary caregiver. If you're traveling up and down the road or whatever it's going to be, you need to start having those conversations or have had them. What are we going to do about our aging parents? Who's going to be responsible? How are we going to handle that if that happens?
Yeah.
And so it all of that, if you don't keep talking to each other, being honest with one another, being compassionate with one another,
Right.
those things can tear you apart. And
Absolutely.
we're having these conversations in the meditation room dealing with midlife marriage because we believe in you. That's like we believe in us and we can learn from you. So thank you so much for sharing. I love it, Team Klein said you had to be honest, transparent, and outlining our true budget and then tackle the debt. Yes. Because those extras at Chipotle add up. Yes. And when you have to shift for a season because your goal is more important than what's happening right now, it can be difficult, it can be tough, but you do what you have to do to
Right.
begin to meet those goals.
Right.
And so that was it. And because the final thing was then begin to build your wealth strategy all at the same time. Get some help, know what your money mindset or blueprint is, what's your conditioning, what's your history, what have you brought to the
What's
marriage,
your relationship with
what's
money?
your relationship with money, and then develop a well, healing and forgiveness because you got to heal from
Whatever.
whatever.
It
No,
could be a lot. It could be a lot of whatever's, but healing is possible,
yep, and
and
forgiveness.
healing might happen immediately, or it might take some time,
It might take some
and
time
but allow it to be what it's going to be, but keep moving through it.
and develop then a new money mindset that like my husband said, that you grow and come up with together.
Together.
Develop a new money mindset that's going to work for you, that's going to work for your present, that's going to work for your future, and then build your wealth strategy. And you may have to be doing all of this stuff all at the same time when you in midlife, because when you in 60 at 60, and that's true for so many people, whether you come across that when you're 40 or when you're 50 or whatever, you're like, uh-oh,
Right.
we got to do some stuff.
We're here.
We're here now. And
Yeah.
that's why I'm hoping that we will bring in eventually some young couples and talk to them early so they can set their lives up different
That's
than
the
we
that's
did.
the best seed that we can sow is um, is what we have learned
Mm-hmm,
by error,
mm-hmm.
by mis-
Trial, fire, error, baptism by fire.
baptism by fire, and when you have learned, you don't lose, especially when you pass it on to the next generation.
Because that's the final closing remark. What is the purpose of our legacy and our money is to pass on the wisdom, even and not be afraid to share with your children the mistakes you may have made, the
Yep.
things you would have done differently. You know, that we laugh all the time saying, man, if we had known then what we know now, all our kids would have been right here in Bowie, somewhere around Maryland. That in-state.
Susan, they would have started at Prince George's County Community College.
Yes, because that whole idea, that's what I'm saying, that whole money mindset, and that whole going to student loan debt and all of that. I'm like, that whole thing, I'm like, make y'all go in state, y'all do your first year or two at a community college, then transfer if you got some money, work while you going to school. Because we took on that responsibility thinking it was our responsibility, to make that happen for them. And you don't know what the market is going to do. You don't know what pandemic's gonna show up. You don't know what's gonna happen when you borrow against your future like that. And I'm not saying don't do anything. Don't. We're just saying learn.
We're sharing what we have learned,
Mm-hmm,
and hey, there's how do you handle the woulda, coulda, shouldas? You transform with a new mindset,
mm-hmm.
and you don't live in the past. You learn from the past.
Learn. and you move forward.
and you
And
move forward.
and the truth of the matter is, anybody who's been successful at anything has had more foibles and failures than successes. And they will tell you they learned more from their failings and failures than their successes. And
If you don't want to fail, don't do nothing.
yeah, yeah. Go
But
ahead and try. You're
but
gonna be
but
all right.
but it is absolutely okay to fail forward.
Mhm,
You're 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 failing, you're making mistakes, but you're moving forward.
mhm.
And as you continue to move forward, you make less and less mistakes.
That's Bible, Pastor. That's Bible. Proverbs says a righteous man falls 7 times, but they get up 8.
What?
It's not how many times you fall, long as you keep getting up and you get up that last time.
That's right.
Good.
That's right.
Woo!
Wow.
Thank y'all so much for joining us on this Mondays in the meditation room with Dr. K for Midlife Musings with our special guest, Dr. H.B. Hayes Jr., my boo. We're talking about midlife marriage. Go back and watch the replay of partnership. I do, I did, I don't. Watch this one over again. Midlife Money Matters, yours, mine, and ours. And we're going to continue to talk about these things. And then I think Dr. HB, we are look, Dr. Honey, I was gonna call you Dr. Honey.
I like that.
We should, also do it again and then bring some guests on with even more expertise in these areas to talk to us and to teach us and to learn. One of the things I want to share with you, one of the podcasts that I like to listen to is called His and Her Money Show with Talent and Ty McNeely. It's called His and Her Money Show. It is a podcast. It's a Black couple who talks about money, young couple who paid off their house, they out of debt, and then they're helping teach other couples money principles, and their focus this season is to take dominion. And so that's what I want to offer you. If anybody else has any resources or any ideas, any books that you've read that have been really helpful to you, share it. So next week, so excited. We closing out July with this
Don't want to miss next week.
Hotter than July. He told me put it, he would have put it in a different order. So I'm gonna put it in his order. Hotter than July. We're gonna be talking about spirituality, sensuality, and sexuality and midlife marriage, y'all. Hotter than July. And can I tell you, it's hot all over the globe. This global warming is something, amen. It is hot, but it's not gonna be as hot as it is gonna be next week on Mondays in the meditation room with Dr. K. Invite your friends, come bring them on in, tell them we're talking in the room. And our theme is hotter than July: spirituality, sensuality, and sexuality.
Don't miss it.
Don't miss it. We looking forward to it. Love y'all. Have an amazing night on tonight. And thank you for being in this place where it's all things enlightenment and empowerment for Black women in midlife and really and men. Love y'all. Have a good
Love
night.
y'all. Thank you.
Peace.
Peace.